Good morning.
Morning.
Wait, you knew before I did. You were just waiting. You were just waiting for me to look stupid. How could you do this? Oh no, I didn't bring the tissue.
Oh, I did. They're right there.
Oh, you're a hero.
Today is Thursday, April 30th, last day of April. Going into March tomorrow. I got some toasts.
Wow, you're eating?
I normally finish before this, but I wanted to start at 8, so I went ahead and hit the button anyway.
Sick, dude. That was a rad thing you did.
Starting at 8?
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome. What are you eating?
Toast.
Toast.
And peanut butter.
I am the box toast.
And I have my tea today is, how do you say, it's like rooibos or something? I still haven't figured out how to say that word.
R-O-O-I-B-O.
It's probably fine.
Yeah. R-O-O-I-B-O-S, right? Or is
Yeah.
it R-O-B-I-O-S?
No, the first one was right.
Rooibos would be correct then?
Yes.
Roo. What is the
I don't know how to. I don't know. It's not actually tea because you steep it for way too long.
What
It's one
is-
of those that's made out of other plants, but none of it's actually technically tea.
What does the O-O sound make? Ooh. Roo.
Yeah.
Rooey.
I believe it's African.
The word?
Yeah.
Or the T?
Yes.
Interesting.
Puffmaster 2 says, I just got here on time for time start. Us too. We are also on time for the start.
Very rare. Very rare.
We're normally
Ricky
at
is
least
already here.
5 minutes late. Yep. That's because Ricky wakes up at like 5 or something.
What's wrong with Ricky?
Ricky is a
Go
machine.
see a doctor.
No, he does it. Everything Ricky does is just like mechanically. Ricky
Perfect.
deactivates at 1 a.m. If he has not already put himself to bed,
That's
he just
true.
turns off, and
That's
then he
true.
turns back on at like 6 in the morning.
That's something like
Consistently.
I remember when we would have like movie nights or be talking really late, and we would just all look over, and Ricky's like, and we're all just
like same time every night.
People can do. Yeah, it would turn midnight, and we'd all look at Ricky, who's like, I'm like, how could anyone do that? I haven't seen somebody do that since like middle school, when you could just kind of fall asleep. You were so tired anywhere, but Ricky could legit just be anywhere, and it's just like he just powers off.
Yeah.
Like, oh, is it midnight? Okay. It's
Perfect.
amazing.
100% awake up to that point too. It's not a transition.
No, it's not. No. He'll literally be mid-conversation, and then somebody will, like, wait for Ricky to say something, but we can't because Ricky is now just like, whoa. And it's very, like, classic sitcom, too, because he just, like, rests his head down, and then people are like, Ricky? Ricky?
Are you dead?
Right. And, like, 10 minutes later, he'll like, wake up, and he'll say something that was relevant to the conversation right when he went to sleep, and then just, like, 2 minutes later, like, it's beautiful.
It's impressive. It is 1 a.m. 1 a.m. is his cutoff time.
Okay, yeah, it is one. That sounds right. I think at like midnight you can kind of see it. He like gets a little bit more distant in the expression, and then 1 a.m. just zonked. I'm so jealous. Nothing but noodles says, "Come on, Kyle, don't eat in the mic. I raised you better than that."
I have to eat 3,000 calories a day. Okay, I gotta cram it in when I can.
Fun fact that I did find out about Matt is that he has that condition that other people have, but I don't remember the name of it, which is that like mouth noises and like other weird like stirring mac and cheese sounds and like all those like weird sticky sounds make him physically angry.
Is that a condition or is that just...
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. I had another friend like that. I think it starts with like an M or something, but it's essentially... Yeah,
Somebody suggested a name. I don't know if that's correct.
I think misophonia is correct. It's just like the mouth noises make them furious, like they feel it, and it's like ugh, don't.
Huh.
I don't think it's as common as people pretend it is. I mean, no one
no one likes it.
Right, no one likes your weird mouth noises up close. Well, there's ASMR now. So. Isn't it true that anything just has to be like a phobia or a fetish? There is no in between.
According to Stellaris, yes.
What?
I've been playing a lot of that game. When you're making species, the species trait wheel has like, you can go extremely one way or the other on any particular trait. And that's how you select traits, is by picking like from all these different things around the circle. But obviously if you pick one on this end, you can't pick the opposite one on this end.
Oh, okay, I see. Wow, alright, well. I was mostly joking, but I think as I've thought about it further, I must be correct.
It's actually a game mechanic in the game I'm currently playing.
Let's see.
Anyway, I'm done with my breakfast now, so good morning, everybody.
I like mac and cheese nostura. Oh, it was
called
Ricky.
Creamsicle blend.
Let me smell. Oh my god. It had that, like, that really weird fake orangey
Yeah.
creamsicle. Is it sweet?
You know, that
No,
as
it's
much
tea.
as
It's tea.
straight
Tea is
black
so
tea can be
disappointing.
sweet.
Tea is the worst. Let me try it.
As much as hot water can
Your
be
tea
sweet.
Is, your tea is always too hot. What are you doing? Why are you making it? Why are you doing this?
This is the puzzle. You can try it if you figure out how to pick it up.
Ugh, it's awful. Actually, that's probably one of your better plain not sweet teas. But why would... It's so rude to call things like creamsicle tea. And that tastes like freaking dirty water.
I have finally caught up with uploading the previous episodes to Door Monster Podcasts, by the way. So if you if you want to watch any and have missed them, you can now go watch them there. And I think I've made it easier for myself to upload them every day, so I should be able to keep up with it from now on.
Someone took a chunk out of my microphone.
What?
There's like a little chunk missing.
Oh yeah, McCree got into the box of these fleshy things at one point and started just like attacking them, so there are some bits missing.
Do you think they can hear the fur on here?
I don't think so.
Maybe if I keep touching it, they
Maybe
will.
if you keep touching it.
All right, so I had this revelation, right?
Yeah.
Because revolution is the other one. I had this revelation the other day that there was a series of shows growing up about smart boys, but never any about smart girls.
Oh right, yeah. Not
Like-
just smart, like the super genius kid, but
Right.
it was always
It's
always boys.
There was Dexter, and there was Jimmy Neutron, and then later there was Smart Guy, which I'm not sure is a show anyone actually decided to watch. It was Todd Mowry. Oh right, because Sister was on, and the actresses had a little brother who got famous after Sister happened, and he had his own show called Smart Guy.
Okay.
Nothing but noodles
Smart
remember
guy.
Smart Guy. Or maybe he's just saying that, but
I would also submit, again, basically every shonen anime character is like,
oh yeah.
you're a 14-year-old, but you're smarter and better at what you do than all adults in the entire world for some reason.
I agree that character exists in anime, but the actual plot of like main character smart boy,
Everybody that Frankie Muniz ever plays is also usually this character.
wasn't he literally in a movie called Smart Guy or something?
Wasn't he? Was he? He was.
No, he was the detective boy.
There was Agent Cody Banks, and then there was
Agent
one where
Cody
he
Banks.
lied to his parents all the time. It was like Liar Liar, but with Frankie Muniz as a child for some reason.
Frankie Muniz is only ever a child. Actually, so that's a little rude because I learned later that Frankie Muniz actually has a condition that makes him look the way that he does. It makes him look young forever, like a child.
I didn't know there was. I wouldn't have identified anything physically
He has
wrong
like
with him,
a
but-
growth stunting condition that actually like
Is it a
affects.
condition that or is that also from the drugs? Like, was he born with it, or was that?
It
something
wasn't
that
from
he-
the drugs. It's
Okay.
a different condition that has like serious health impacts too. He's been sick for
Okay.
most of his life.
Because there's
So-
there's that thing that goes around on Reddit every now and then about Frankie Muniz not remembering filming Malcolm in the Middle because of the drugs.
I don't think it was drugs. I think it was the condition. But he might have also done drugs. Every famous person does drugs.
Yeah, well, child stars in particular are end up having
Well, yeah.
struggles.
Poor children. Why do we allow child stars? We need to remove child stars. We need to remove animals from Hollywood. That's all. That's my whole thought about that. Anyway, I just thought it was weird. I was like, why were there no smart girls?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like
There
Jimmy
were any
Neutron.
like genius little girls.
They're all they're all so unlikable.
All the genius guys, all the
Yeah.
genius characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Jimmy Neutron was such a jerk.
That's because the people
Dexter
writing
was
them,
such a jerk.
the people writing these shows are frustrated adult men that were like, I was picked on when I was a kid. It must have been because I was so smart and no one else was. So I'm going to make a stand-in character for myself that just shows how smart he is. And then, surprise, it's a douchebag. So
Kyle,
that's what happens.
We have the right audience. Multiple people.
Topanga.
Multiple people have said just delete Hollywood.
I agree.
Yes, that is correct.
I also do agree with the Ricky's Topanga. That's probably the only one I can think of that's like even kind of close. But she wasn't like this point of the show. I think is the main point. It wasn't like.
What is this supposed to be?
But he's offering an example of a smart girl, but I think he's misunderstanding what we're saying, which is that there
Topanga was a smart girl in that she had straight A's, not a smart girl in that she had her own secret laboratory underground.
Right, we're talking about the shows that are like the main character was an impossible super genius, but also 8.
There were
and male. Those were the only.
Yeah, sorry. This is not like no smart girl has ever been shown. In Jimmy Neutron, Cindy is also smart.
Right.
The point is that there's shows specifically about shitty little boys who are incredibly smart and get away with doing literally terrible things because they're smart.
Phoenix Rising, I also think, summarized it well with his comment there.
Where is it?
This adult nerds in the 2000s.
Yes, Phoenix Rising says adult nerds in the 2000s are bitter as fuck. And
that was the case.
I'm an adult nerd in 2020, and I'm also bitter as fuck. So.
Well, but it was because they were nerds. It was still the gatekeeping stage of nerddom because people were still mad because they were like,
True.
"What? Everybody else doesn't have to be made fun of for being a nerd now. I had to be picked on for my entire life."
I really like the examples people are giving.
Yeah.
Totally spies. Not smart, just spies. Also,
not smart, just spies.
Kim Possible.
How about Powerpuff Girls?
Not smart, just heroes.
Yeah.
Phineas and Ferb is 2 boys.
This is
Hermione is not the main character in Harry Potter.
To clarify, this is a very specific observation. It's not like,
really even that specific. Main character is boy, super hyper intelligent kid.
Yeah, I would say that's very specific. I'm saying everybody's bringing up examples of female characters from shows that were protagonists. Those did exist.
Well,
we're talking about a very specific category that for some reason only exists in this one category.
Right. Also,
it's a weird category by itself.
As examples,
hyper-intelligent
both
child
Kim
is strange.
Possible and Totally Spies had to have smart guys.
Did they?
Yeah, Kim Possible has
true.
Wade,
Kim Possible had his,
and Totally
the,
Spies,
yeah.
I think, has like a butler or something, and he makes all the smart technical stuff. Like, I'm not saying there weren't talented female leads in shows growing up, but they weren't smart. The point wasn't for them to be smart. Kim Possible was also a cheerleader, and Totally Spies were also like mall shopping airheads in their free time on purpose. Don't get me wrong, I love both shows, but there was just never like...
Right, and like for me, this isn't actually a complaint, it's more of just a point of confusion. It's more like, why did this one genre exist specifically of literal smartest man on earth also being a little boy?
Phoenix Rising says...
why was it never a little girl?
Phoenix Rising says she's in a video game and not a cartoon, but Tomb Raider. And I want us all to just sit and remember
I don't know that
the
character.
main character... Oh, do you not?
I don't know anything about the character outside of her appearance, which it probably is.
Right. So let's take a moment and remember why Tomb Raider is remembered. Is it because she's smart? Is that what it was? Was it
I'm pretty sure that's
hyper-intelligence?
the thing that Lara Croft is known for, is her...
Hyper-intelligence,
her
right?
big brain.
Sorry, I just totally shit all over that. I think she is actually supposed to be smart, but when I think back to, like, hyper-intelligent female characters in movies, video games, or TV, Lara Croft does not pop up. I like how Murnacha says, point titties. Yes, that's what I was getting at. Those triangles. But yeah, no, I've been thinking about it. I can't think of any. Just wasn't a trendy thing in the early 2000s for women to be leads and smart.
Again, I'd like to follow up on this with, I don't know why it was a trend to have shows about super genius 10-year-olds. Like, it was a weird genre to exist in the first place.
Right.
But so were a lot of shows back then. People floated some weird ideas in the early 2000s for TV shows in
I don't know,
late
I think
90s.
they're all pretty normal. I don't think any of them are super weird.
Is it example time? Do I need to bring up some shows?
Yeah. Let's do this.
Do you remember early Nickelodeon?
Yeah.
There was a show about hyper-sentient babies. There was Cat and Dog Are Sewn Together. There was strange Cowman lives in Animal World.
Right, I forgot that we grew up watching different channels. You grew up on Nickelodeon, right?
Yes,
I grew up on Cartoon Network. So
that was also weird.
Cartoon Network was not nearly as awful as like Ren and Stimpy and Cat Dog.
I'll give you that one very small point. Just because that bar is so low.
Cartoon Network had this, like, Cartoon Network's logo was like little black and white bars that said Cartoon Network on it. Nickelodeon's was a literal goop splat.
Yes, it was.
They had different vibes going. Cartoon Network had Totally Spies. Nickelodeon, Cat Dog. Actually, that's really not fair. They were not the same era. Actually, Totally Spies came like way later, I think.
I'm seeing some shows being dumped in here that were definitely not Nickelodeon, so they must have also been Cartoon Network. And if they were, then Cartoon Network had
are you not?
Pinky and the Brain, Ed, Ed and Eddie were not Nickelodeon, which means they weren't Disney. I know that.
But Ed, Ed and Eddie, while being a trash show, and I know, come at me, whatever. Ed and Eddie, the premise is not anything extreme. It's about 3 stupid boys who do stupid things.
Sure.
They're all named Ed, and Eddie. So the premise was not like, let's sew a cat and a dog together. I don't remember what I don't remember if that was Cartoon Network.
That was Nickelodeon.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So doesn't that make sense? I can only think of like the scary one that
holds its eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why is that the one everyone remembers?
Because it's a weird design. Because no one's ever designed anything like that.
Do you think
before.
Subconsciously our little tiny brains were like, do its arms ever get tired? Like, do you think we were just like wondering about the realisticness of that possibility?
I just don't remember. Like, I remember just it being very, very visually disturbing when I saw it as a kid, even though it was 2D animation.
Let's see.
Anyway, what are we talking about?
Cow and chicken. We're talking about cartoons. It's a morning.
I remember
cartoons.
Nickelodeon had a turning point, and it was SpongeBob. Nickelodeon had all of these weird, freaky, hand-drawn, like, scribble-looking shows. It was a very specific art style that Nickelodeon had for a long time.
Yeah.
And then SpongeBob came around and changed it and updated it to the much more modern, blocky-looking art style.
Yeah.
And all the shows after it followed that.
Yeah.
And also the tone of the shows mostly kind of changed after that. Because before that, they were definitely very visually gross, I think, a lot of times.
All right, people are reminding me of things I was hoping to always forget.
Courage the Cowardly Dog, that was definitely one.
Was that Nickelodeon?
No, that was
Cartoon Network.
that had to have been Cartoon Network.
Courage the Cowardly Dog literally scared me growing up. I remember Thomas liked it, and so he would watch it sometimes, and it always gave me, like, I was too young to understand it, but it gave me the sick feeling in my stomach that I get now when something's off or wrong and making me uncomfortable. Courage did that, but I was a child, so I didn't attribute it with fear necessarily. Or, I'm sorry, I called it fear, but it was definitely not quite fear. It was just, like, discomfort, just, like, nervousness watching Courage the Cowardly Dog. But they also said Invader Zim. Whose fault was that?
Invader Zim was actually late Nickelodeon. It was a bit of early Nickelodeon that somehow accidentally made it into late Nickelodeon.
Invader Zim was truly the worst show.
Invader Zim was...
Come at me!
Well, so I was in high school when it was out, so it was definitely like there were people who liked Invader Zim and there were everybody else. Those were the categories. I was on the line because I had friends in both camps.
Yeah, no.
I watched a little bit of it. There were parts of it that were funny. It got a little bit too visceral and weird for me, so I didn't end up watching all that much.
For which one?
Invader Zim.
Yeah, I didn't.
I got to the episode where he was collecting everybody's organs inside of himself and decided that I was checking out.
There was an episode of Invader Zim where he pops a pimple so big that it like drowns a school. And
Lovely.
And that was like one of the ones I watched, and I was like, I'm not doing this. That didn't stop me from being a super poser in high school.
And right, because you had to.
I had a girder.
Because you dressed like that, so part of the uniform was.
So, okay, in high school, it was my freshman year, scene was like really popular. And so the scene look was the one where you had like coming from the top, you had the big hair, and then it got really thin down here. Right? Do you remember that look? It was like, and then like here it was like thin and small. And then these were always like, raccoon style hair where they did like the black and white or whatever, and then you were supposed to have the silly bands. I think that's what they were called. You had all the silly bands. Actually, silly bands came later. First, you had handmade beaded bracelets that you wore up to your elbow over your fingerless gloves that you had, and then you had like bright neon colored clothes. And most of my shirts were like Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon style, like graphics. And so I had like, I think I had a Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends one that just said cheese because lol random and rar were things that we did.
One of the characters was named Cheese as well.
For
the same reasons, but that's where it was.
So that was like really popular when I went into high school. So I dressed like that. But then everyone I knew liked Invader Zim because everything was supposed to be like lol random funny.
Right.
That was the whole point. And like
Scene was definitely like if
rar means I love you in dinosaur.
If mid 2000s taste combined goth and retro 80s, then you end up with Scene.
Scene was rough. Scene was just like preppy goth, I guess.
Ricky just typed in the chat, Drake and Josh is the best anime, and I won't argue.
I feel like I could argue, but I just don't see the value, honestly.
That was the other thing, too. Eventually, Nickelodeon started bringing in all the live-action shows, and I don't think Cartoon Network ever did that because they kind of nailed themselves in with the name of the station.
Yeah, I think so. I think they eventually might have, but yeah, I don't know. But, let's see.
My favorite Nickelodeon live-action show by far was Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. I don't know how many people watched that, but it ran for a full 3 seasons and had like a big finale and everything. And it was amazing because I'm like 95% sure that the creators of the show went to Nickelodeon and were like, I have an idea for a new cartoon starring a middle school kid where he like, you know, goes through middle school shenanigans and then also gives tips on like how to get through middle school. Yeah. And they were like, that sounds great. However, we have too many animations and we're trying to push our live action side, so we want to make it a live action show. And the writers were like, all right, fine, give us your money. We're making it animated anyway. So it's technically live action, but they film it entirely like a cartoon, complete with ridiculous sound effects.
Right.
And like when people like visual gags are still there and they just try to replicate them in real life as good as possible.
Yeah.
So like when people fall off of stuff, there's just like really obvious dummies just get thrown from things.
We should rewatch
where there's
it.
like a weasel that's loose in the school that the janitor's trying to catch, and it's just this really clearly like stuffed like taxidermied weasel on a stick that they just kind of wave around.
That was such a great
No
show.
characters change clothes either. Like in cartoons, they all have the same outfit and same hair every single episode.
Do you remember the fever dream that was As Told by Ginger?
No, I never saw that.
Such a weird show.
What was that one? I recognize the title, but that's all.
I think it was supposed to be like a deep show about like growing up and getting older. There's also one other show that I distinctly remember clips of, but I never got to fully watch, and sometimes I tell people about it and they do not know what I'm talking about, so someone please help me. But there was a show about a goth troubled girl who got sent to go live with like her family out in the country, or like her aunt and uncle, and it was about horses. That's all I remember. There was just this like teenage girl who had like problems, and so she had to go live with her family in the middle of the countryside, and there were horses. And it was like I don't remember what it was called, but I need to watch it. No, but As Told by Ginger was just like, I don't like the way it was drawn.
Oh yeah,
I didn't like it.
One of those.
It was like
I don't like the way most animated shows were drawn. That was just weird. It was just
Let me show you what it looks like. But it was a show about like a girl like growing up and getting older and dealing with like shitty friends and being bullied and periods or something.
It is weird that how the cartoon style changed though, because it used to look very very much more hand drawn, and then eventually we got into like
this is what
Fairly
the
Odd Parents
like.
kind of era where everything was like really blocky and almost like geometric. Oh, okay, yeah, I recognize those.
Everyone recognizes. No, they can't. Everyone. Well, sometimes they can if the thing's not like super shiny. Everyone recognizes As Told by Ginger characters, but no one watched the show for some reason. Probably because most of the people I know are boys.
And also then eventually, the show was weird. The card, and then
Caitlin's Way. It was Caitlin's Way. Oh my god, it was Caitlin's Way. That's what it was. I wasn't allowed to watch it because Thomas didn't like it. But I would just see clips of it and be like, "This is such a confusing show."
I don't know.
No one ever talked about it. It was a show that ran for forever, and it reminded me of the Amanda Show.
Yeah.
The Amanda Show made fun of dramas with a sketch, with like a weird sketch they called Moody's Point. And I remember watching Caitlin's Way and thinking, this is what that looks like in real life. The end. That was a bunch of words probably no one will understand. Easy Google. I swear I've Googled early 2000s show about girl and horse. That was probably not the right thing to Google.
I know a late 2000s show about girl and horse.
Everyone's got it. Tell me what you Googled. Doesn't matter. I remember now, so I'll be able to bring it up, and people will go, "Oh yeah." So I'll have that skill in conversation.
There's also there's another weird category of shows that existed in early 2000s, which were shows about people with skateboards.
Don't you even get close to shitting on Rocket Power.
They brought up Rocket Power. Which
no one gets to know.
I never watched.
Rocket Power is
no one's insulting
perfect.
Rocket Power.
Rocket Power did
good?
so many good things. Yeah. So, one competent badass female character in Rocket Power who was also the oldest.
Okay.
But no, Rocket Power was great. Rocket Power was like a bunch of kids who... It was a show about like shitty kids who learned important life lessons regularly, but like through skateboarding and the power of friendship. But also they lived with like their Uncle Tito or Tino or something.
Yeah, no, Uncle Tito. I remember Uncle Tito.
He's like the Hagrid character.
Yeah.
Just like one of those great like... Rocket Power was bomb.
I know neither of us ever watched this, but I vaguely remember this weird show, and I think this was like a window into a category of shows I just didn't watch much, called Street Sharks. And it was like...
Never heard of it.
It was like guys, but their heads were shark heads. And I think they may also have had like skateboards or something. It was very strange.
What?
I don't know what the show was about.
Has anyone else seen it?
I will find out.
Did you make it up?
I don't know. I didn't make it up. I've heard other people reference Street Sharks before.
Phoenix Rising said Gumball looked like a good show. I've heard good things about Gumball, but that came much later.
Nothing But Noodles says Street Sharks was amazing, and Blind Prophet said Jossum in all caps, which I can only assume was Street Sharks related.
Y'all grew up on Kids Next Door? Yes, I did. Again, that was a little bit later for me. Like, I wasn't a child when I was watching it, but I loved... Have you seen Kids Next Door?
No.
You would love Kids Next Door.
Is that Recess, or is that a different show?
No, it's a different show.
I never watched that one either.
It's about spy
There's a lot of stuff I
kids.
didn't watch.
But you would have loved Kids Next Door, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it was a really solid show.
So then what I was...
Street Sharks is what I'm going to go look up.
I was trying to move into the future earlier.
What the hell
but
is this?
What we ended up missing because I stopped watching cartoons and stuff is there was a whole era of TV shows that came after that was like the Adventure Time era. And I like caught a little bit of the start of that particular art style and show style, but then never really was able to get into it past that point.
This woman, Street Shark, is wearing a bra.
What?
I guess to show that she's a woman. Because all the other Street Sharks are shirtless. What? Is this it?
Yeah, it looks like it, yeah.
This is horrifying.
I don't think I've ever actually seen like pictures of the art style before. I've just heard them described. I've seen there's like characters like that in video games, and people will describe them as Street Sharks, referencing this show.
This looks old. This looks like
It
Hey
does.
Arnold
That looks like
old.
80s.
No, 90s. Definitely 90s.
looks 90s?
Doesn't look like 80s. No, it's definitely, yeah. Woof. What were you... Oh, you were going to talk about, like...
I was talking about the era after us, which was
Right.
Adventure Time era, which was things like which was Channel Frederator, Adventure Time. What else was there? I'm blanking. I watched one online that I did kind of like. That was like it looked like Adventure Time, but it was in space. And
The one that I showed you, the Cypern...
I don't think you showed it to
Oh.
me. Me and Reed watched it beforehand.
Adventure Time in space?
It was a similar style of Adventure Time, but it was in space, and it was like a group of people that fought space crime. It was made by Frederator. If I knew the name, it would. It's where Catbug is from. We make a cat bug. I have a cat bug reference in like the first Door Monster video. Bravest Warriors. There it is. Thank you.
Never heard of it.
Frederator is the production company that made Fairly Odd Parents and also went on to produce Adventure Time. And also we were partnered with them through their YouTube channel partnership for like a year.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't... Foster Home for Imaginary Friends was like the latest I watched cartoons, I think.
Yeah.
I sort of stopped at that point. I didn't watch Adventure Time, mostly because I don't take the recommendation of people who regularly get high for TV shows because I've done it once before.
The audience for those TV shows.
Right, yeah.
I've been trying to figure out how to describe that category of shows for so long.
I trusted too many just like total space cadets in watching television shows that I was like, oh, I know why I'm not enjoying this show. I've heard Adventure Time like gets better and isn't just for people who are high, but also
sorry, Adventure Time isn't people who are actively high. It's for people who get high regularly. Right. It's for millennials who have been high on a regular basis. That's what Adventure Time and all those kinds of shows are like.
Right. There were so many people who would be like... I also put
Steven Universe into the same, like, as like at the end of this era, I think. Like, it goes from Adventure Time to Steven Universe over 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think kind of shifts a little bit in tone over the course of it.
Yeah. No, there were just like too many examples where someone was like, you have to watch this show, it's the best, and I watch it and I'm like...
They're all very...
This would be great if I was completely out of my mind.
Indie stoner cartoons. I think that's what I'll call them. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, I think
Bee
that's
and
a good
Puppy Cat is another one of those that came out. I tried one of those. It's just not my style, I guess. I was never able to get into them very well.
I just love... It looks like Rysith says, Teen Titans Go was amazing on acid.
The drawing styles I describe as Tumblr style, says Silly Lily Billy, which I agree with.
Idea, yeah.
They do all look like
Teen
Tumblr
Titans,
arts.
So I hate to burst your bubble, but Teen Titans Go was not amazing on anything. It's just bad.
Allison is a Teen Titans purist. She only likes the original show and rejects anything else that comes afterwards.
This is a correct way to be. There is no other opinion to have that is right. Teen Titans was a perfect show that should have kept going forever and didn't. And then they just destroyed it by making all of these horrible spin-off Teen Titan things like the live-action Teen Titans
are pretty bad.
And Teen Titans Go. They're all garbage. They're so bad. They wouldn't have been bad had they been made separately on their own, but because the show was done perfectly, then a bunch of people were like, let's just tarnish the name of Teen Titans with terrible shows. I can't handle any of them. And you can't convince me otherwise. I've had people try to get me to watch Teen Titans Go, and I did, and it makes me want to cry.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I've said it.
Should we call Matt? Should we see
yeah,
what
we
the
should
weather's
call
like?
Matt. What is the weather like? It was rainy yesterday.
It was.
I only know this because we called Matt.
Where's my phone?
Kyle.
Sorry, I'm not prepared. I'm never prepared. I'm going to work on establishing the connection to Matt. What else are we getting in the chat?
I'm reading it. Most people
Read it out loud.
Teen Titans was killed because too many girls liked it.
What does that even mean?
I'm gonna strong disagree on that. Teen Titans was killed because it was too expensive to keep making because it was one of the most amazing animated shows of all time.
We ended up. She ended up showing it to me, and it was.
It was so good.
It was good. It was a lot of fun.
I'm just sorry. I'm reading chat.
Gotta keep the energy going.
What
keep
did
talking.
you call Matt?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
It doesn't happen immediately.
Okay.
You have to know this by now. We've done this 10 times.
Sorry.
Yesterday was our 10th episode, by the way.
What? It was our 10th episode?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't seem like enough episodes. I feel like we've been doing a lot of these. I'm so sad. Teen Titans was killed because too many mothers hated it. Let's just make up a bunch of reasons why Teen Titan was killed. None of them are correct. So, like, have you heard of the show Pony Life?
I have not.
Okay, me neither. Someone had mentioned...
All right, we got a Matt. I found a Matt.
You found a map?
There he is. Matt.
Hello.
That looks like Matt.
Hello.
What's your shirt say?
It says, be looking good, real good. Adios. Which is kind of a quote from the Warriors, but they left out the part where she says, looking good, Warriors, real good. Adios. Because this is like an off-brand H&M shirt where they stole the quote. I think it was like made by an algorithm, but I just had to have it.
I understand. It looks perfect
That's
on
the
you.
story of that shirt.
So, Matt, you said rain yesterday. What's it like today?
Oh, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful out here.
Yeah?
Yes.
What's it like?
I told you, it's beautiful. What else do you want to know?
Give us some details. Temperature, moisture,
Wind.
humidity, wind speed.
Well, okay,
Color.
so it's beautiful because Moisture is at an all-time low. There's not a single drop of liquid out here, ladies and gentlemen, which is a good thing because I hate humidity. The sun, low in the sky, warm, but not too warm. That'll change later in the day for sure, but right now, if you want to go outside, this is a great time to do it. Not a cloud in the dang sky. Okay, that's what you want to see. Look at how blue it is.
Wow.
That's really
Can you
blue.
see it? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Look at that
Looks
contrast between the green and blue.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Yeah,
great?
wow. Not even clouds.
Not even a clouds anywhere.
What activities do you recommend outside?
All sorts of activities. Standing close to strangers, kissing them, touching all their stuff.
Spitting in their mouth.
Whoa. Saturday night, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, people would like to know the allergy count.
It's apparently high. I can barely speak. My sinuses are closing as we speak. It's not good. Maybe don't go outside if you're an allergy sufferer.
We appreciate the sacrifice then.
Yeah.
Thank you for risking your life.
You're welcome. Check out that lens flare.
Wow.
Oh my god, is
Looks
that
like
a supermodel or is that Matt?
All right. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for
Bye.
checking in.
Absolutely nailed it like always.
We'll be back one more time tomorrow for this week. See ya.
See ya. Bye.
Well, that was wholesome.
Matt is so wholesome.
Loud. Sorry about that.
We are supposed to watch Gravity Falls. I do remember that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Ricky had mentioned that. I still don't know what it is, but...
It's a show. We'll find out because we'll watch it. What is the show? There was a show that somebody made us watch that had that was also an animated show in space, and David Tennant voiced the villain.
Oh,
Old
yeah.
Tiny Villain thing.
Yeah.
What's that show called?
Final Space.
Final
We did watch
Space,
some of
that's
that.
right, that's right.
We watched some of that here, actually.
Yeah,
in
that
this
was
house,
cute. It was cute.
It was. We
It was
didn't
cute.
get very far into it. That was one made by the YouTuber, right? That was made by Brock Baker. Am I saying the right name?
I don't know.
Anyway.
I do like Murnoth says Allison Edgemeter 6 spitting in mouth mentioned.
Let's switch to another topic so I have a second thing to write in the description of this video.
Fair enough.
Other than we talk about cartoons nonstop and literally nothing
People
else.
love cartoons.
Olin Rogers, sorry.
Move that. People
Brock
love
Baker was a
cartoons.
different guy.
Move that.
Move what?
That. I have so many. So this morning I just went through a
Discord?
series of I just
Why?
went through a series of like different like articles and stuff, and so I just posted a bunch of them. So I'm really just gonna go through and just like click them randomly because I don't remember. Like I have so many that I sent, just so I can go back and look. So let's do this one. Dee, dee. Singing the song.
Beautiful.
Why does my phone load slower than we can entertain? Today I learned there was a physicist, Heinrich Hertz, upon proving the existence of radio waves, stated that it's of no use whatsoever. When asked about the applications of his discovery, he said, "Nothing, I guess." That had like real Matt Locke vibes to me, like something about his expression too in the picture that they posted. And I just thought that was
Nothing, I
really
guess.
cute. Like, could you imagine the guy that's like, "Hey, I found a thing," and people are like, "Oh, he found a thing. We have to go to him and ask him about the thing." And they're like, "So what does this thing do?" And he's like, "Well, I don't. Probably nothing." Sorry you all came here.
That is weird because historically there's a lot of examples of people going like, "Oh, this groundbreaking discovery probably is meaningless," but it seems like now
Really?
it's the opposite, where we have
Oh, yeah.
like everything is just sensationalized for news headlines, even if it's completely meaningless.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird to hear like because there's all these different stories about like the guy that it was Lord Kelvin, right? The guy that headed up the British Department of Science, whatever it was called. I forget.
I have no idea.
But at one point, he's the guy that was reportedly said like, just in one long string of words like, radio waves are a myth. Human flight is impossible. Started just like listing off all this stuff that like could never possibly happen. Like 20 years before it all got made.
Someone says a Hertz is a household name.
Heinrich Hertz is?
I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
I have not heard that name before, actually.
I
I guess he's the guy that made radio waves or discovered radio waves.
No, he made them.
He made them. He created them.
Yeah.
From scratch.
They just emanate off of him. He's
the source of all radio waves.
Here's another good one that I've got for you, because there wasn't much to talk about. I just felt like everyone needed to know that this guy was like, I discovered a thing, and people were like, cool, what's the thing? He's like, well, probably nothing. What if that's what actually happened, though, is like he made a huge deal out of it, and then people came and they were like, so what does it do? And he's like, well, so about that.
Like he had to backpedal.
Right. So the answer is mostly nothing. And by mostly nothing, I mean literally nothing. So, Shrek was originally given a thick Canadian accent by actor Mike Myers. However, after animation had begun and the dialogue was almost finished, Meyer decided the character would be portrayed with a Scottish accent. The film had to be reanimated, and the cost for over $4 million.
Oh my god, what?
Can you imagine trusting your voice actor that much?
No, I'm not sure they did.
Well, they reanimated it because Mike Myers was like, no, Scottish. Could you imagine Canadian Shrek?
It just sounds like dealing with...
I can. I don't hate it.
That would be interesting.
Ricky does mention that he still can't fly, so... These are...
That's fair criticism.
This is McCree.
Yes.
Hello, McCree. He knows his name and responds, unlike every other cat I've ever had. But he is a sweet boy. He likes the chinnies.
But he does not understand live streaming yet.
No. Or personal space. Boundaries. Rules in general. But yeah, how do you feel about Canadian Shrek? Or reanimating a movie for $4 million?
I do feel like it doesn't really, like, the stereotypical understanding of Canadians does not really mesh with the persona of Shrek as well.
That's true.
As Scottish does.
Do you ever think about the actors of a time period where they were like allowed to exist but like could not now? And I think about like Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy.
Oh, like how they just like that same actor couldn't become popular today with the same tactics.
No.
Right.
Adam Sandler. Like, people who were really loved at a time when they could have been, but literally at no other time. Too progressive for certain times, and just real, like, regressive for current times.
I never thought about specific actors for that. I've definitely seen movies. I've gone back and...
I've thought about actors.
Because lots of movies have been talked up, and so I remember when you went back and showed me the first Ace Ventura Pet Detective, and I was like, this could not be made today.
No.
It wouldn't be allowed by anyone. This is just so not okay in so many different ways.
I think there's lots of Jim Carrey movies that people just would not tolerate now like they did.
A lot of early Jim Carrey movies for sure.
Right.
In his later career, he got all weird and existential, and those hold up, I think, better
Some
over
of them
time.
hold up, yeah.
But his really early just absurdist comedy ones, like that style of absurdist comedy movie, even if you remove the offensive stuff, it's just not anybody's style of humor anymore.
But to be said, it's not anymore because he did it perfectly.
I mean, that's true.
It might actually,
it is.
Like,
you have to factor in the idea that the history was established by those people existing within that time too.
Also,
so it's a little bit unfair.
Ricky says that Adam Sandler is a great actor. So
I haven't seen the newest movie.
I know he's in Uncut Gems, but people give a lot of leeway to people who used to be terrible actors that now aren't terrible, or like were expected in other things. So they're like, "Oh my God, he's not laughing! Amazing talent, skill." Can't believe it. Adam Sandler did a whole movie where he doesn't laugh. I would argue though that like...
Well, I haven't seen the movie, so he may actually just be phenomenal.
I've heard Uncut Gems is really, really good.
But no, I do agree where it's definitely like if you make a bigger jump, people tend to... Well, judging acting is very difficult to do. It's kind of why like giving awards out by people who aren't also actors to actors seems kind of pointless. It's one of them. I mean, I have a whole spiel about why the Oscars are pointless in general.
True.
But giving like the Best Actor awards and stuff, the people within the Academy don't know why, like how to judge anything that they're giving awards out for.
No.
That's why my usual go-to criticism is you can replace any reward, you can replace the word best with most and accurately predict who they're going to give it to.
Oh, sure.
So they give it to people who acted the most, right?
Yeah.
That's why Anne Hathaway got it for Les Mis, right? Because she acted the hell out of that scene. I don't know if I'd identify Anne Hathaway as an amazing actor just by herself, but she acted a lot in that one scene of Les Mis.
Anne Hathaway?
Yeah.
Bro, she's skilled. Anne Hathaway is...
She's decent. I mean, she's pretty good. But there are probably other actors that are higher on the list of like being really good at acting than she is, right? I mean, she was in Les Mis, but she was
I think
also
Anne Hathaway is kind of in that range of like the sort of the not quite like the greats, but pretty close just because of her range that existed and has existed continuously. Because Anne Hathaway had broken out of doing like essentially porn in her earlier years, to rom-coms, to starring in her own movies, to writing, and now she fully made it into like a movie musical like Les Mis, and was able to capture like so much emotion through that. So I would argue she's one of the greats purely like because of her how good she's always been.
Well, she may be a bad example too. I went to her because I know that she got an Oscar for that one scene, and that anybody can look at that, like literally anyone can look at that scene and go, "That's good," because it's very in your face about how good it is.
Yeah, true.
But it's very difficult to judge like the subtleties of acting because you don't know what they had to do to accomplish that role. You don't know what got messed up in between them performing and the final edit, because the director also plays a part, the editor plays a part. There's a bunch of people that go into the performance on screen.
Right.
So it's just very difficult to actually judge how good someone is at acting.
There is one truly most amazing actor, we all know who it is, and it's Leonardo DiCaprio. And there's no point in arguing with me. You might want to list someone else, but you don't have to. We can all collectively agree he deserves everything. And it's just one of the best. There is no... You can try to argue that there's someone else. It's pointless. No one wants you to. Everyone wants it to be him, too. So we'll all just relax and accept that it's him, and we'll move on. No big deal. I was thinking, people were just talking about Adam Sandler.
I knew someone was going to throw Daniel Day-Lewis in there, too. But this is the other thing, too. He is good, but he's also very in your face about how good he's the method actor. He's the one that everybody knows as the guy that he played Abraham Lincoln in the Abraham Lincoln movie. And he did, I don't know, other stuff. I actually haven't seen a lot of his movies.
No one knows who he is.
I know who he is because he's touted as he's a great actor because he gets so into character that he stays in character for 7 months. But that's also weird. It's a weird thing to do. And I don't know if that makes you, like, I've also heard Samuel L. Jackson talk about acting before and be asked about method stuff. And he's like, that's cool. Like, it's interesting that they can do that, but within the acting world, he was like, my personal opinion is what makes you a good actor is being able to jump immediately back and forth in and out of character at the drop of a hat. When they call action, you're in character. When they call cut, you go back to being a normal person. Right. So it's just very subjective, is all I'm trying to say.
It's like crazy to me, though, because, well, okay. So back to the Daniel Day-Lewis thing. There's like people who are good actors only because like someone's mom said it and then everyone's mom said it at the same time. And then you grew up and you watch a movie and you're like, yeah, sure, that's a really good actor. And now people say Daniel Day-Lewis, but I can't picture his face. I can't picture a role. I can't picture a movie. And I don't know I know people who can. They're usually above like 40 when people say Daniel Day-Lewis. Now it's just one of those names like, who's a good actor? Daniel Day-Lewis. Right. Oh, sure, yeah. Well, yeah, I guess people have been saying that so long, that's who I just, like, type up. I'm offending people. I can tell. We've talked about religion twice, but no one's ever just all cap locks my name and gone, Allison, gosh dang it. Just let it be Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know why this is so hard. He's a good guy, too. There Will Be Blood. Never seen it. Lincoln. Never seen it. Those aren't movies that I think of like when people are like the most amazing movie I've ever seen with the most amazing acting. Lincoln.
My parents tried watching Lincoln, and I watched a little bit with them, and it looked very impressive but not entertaining. So I had trouble getting into it. It's supposed to be like it's a very accurate historical fiction, which is like
I don't know
that's
a
cool,
single movie this
but
person's listing off.
Feel like sitting there and watching.
Nothing But Noodles is listing off movies I've never seen, wanted to see.
I've heard all these titles.
Heard Gangs of New York.
I've never heard of My Left Foot though.
What about a movie that maybe like one girl somewhere would like to watch? Just a thought. Not that girls can't like movies like this, but just something that just pick one stereotypical girl and go, you would like this movie. Gangs of New York. I'm laughing. It's fine. Everything's fine.
That's a different conversation. It's a good conversation.
I was gonna say, how you gonna trash talk my man if you ain't seen any of his flicks? Because I haven't seen any of them. Because no one's ever told me, you really need to watch these movies.
I have not trash talked anyone yet. I've just been saying acting is subjective as some like judging acting is very difficult to do because it is such a subjective skill. I think is the important thing. Daniel Day-Lewis is incredibly impressive. I would also argue that Samuel L. Jackson is incredibly impressive. They're very different kinds of impressive.
What does Daniel Day-Lewis look like?
Well, his whole point is that he doesn't want you to know, so I don't know.
He apparently does, because he only does these weird movies that my dad probably really loves.
But he's Daniel Day-Lewis his name is synonymous with method acting. He is the chameleon man who becomes the roles that he plays out. I'm gonna look up
his face. Let's see. See, the thing is, though, like, Leonardo DiCaprio, not only is he one of the most amazing actors of all time, he also is in a movie that so many people could want to watch just based on who they are individually. Titanic, not the same audience as Catch Me If You Can. They could be, but there's like overlap. But realistically, he's got a movie for everyone.
Well,
and he can
that has
act
nothing to do with his acting. That just means he has a really good agent.
That's not true. Well, yeah, definitely the agent. But also it means his range exists so well that he's not just in 40-year-old dad movies.
Sure.
Sorry, I don't care really enough about this.
I'm not sure what your point is, actually.
It's that he's a better actor because his range exists. More people want to hire him for more unique roles than Daniel Day-Lewis.
I think that's
I don't know who
an
this
agent
is at all.
thing.
I've
this
never
guy has
seen...
a range of roles too. It's just not in movies that you've watched. You can't say someone doesn't have a range just because you don't watch the movies that they're in.
Where was one single love story on here? I've never heard of any of these movies.
Maybe you should watch more movies then.
I do. I watch so many movies. I watch movies that are recommended to me by people who like movies. I've heard of Lincoln. I don't know many people who've seen Lincoln. I've heard of There Will Be Blood is probably...
That is usually listed as one of the best movies ever, and I haven't seen that one.
These both look like mob gang badass men with lots of money get into drug problem movies, which is a very distinct type of movie that exists for,
like
again,
Lincoln.
My dad. And then Lincoln. This does say My Left Foot. I'm uninterested. All right, what are people going on about
apropos
now?
of nothing, Ricky has just typed La La Land in all caps. It's not related to anything we've been talking about, and I respond, no.
Agreed, no. No to La La Land.
I just like making Ricky mad.
Watch Phantom Thread. Yeah, I just...
Allison, I hate you. Who said that?
The same person who's been on about Daniel Day-Lewis. I will watch one Daniel Day-Lewis.
Recommend the best one. Which one? What is the best Daniel Day-Lewis movie?
Sure. Yeah, because I've not heard of any of these. Except for maybe my dad has talked in passing with other dads about Gangs of New York.
I have a show and tell. I have a thing I want to show.
What?
Yeah. I'm going to just show it
but
real quick.
But it's not Friday. We're supposed to do it Monday and Friday.
I have one anyway.
Okay, let's see it.
You can pick one for Friday, too.
Okay, that's fine.
I just got sent this directly by Petite Tryon, who has apparently not been in the chat only today.
True.
I haven't seen him once.
True.
So this would be the day that I decided to show it off.
Sad.
But he drew me a teapot.
This also happened with Grace. The one time Grace isn't in chat, I showed her thing, so.
I mentioned collecting teapots, and so he drew me a teapot. And I wanted to show off the teapot. And I figured he would be here because he's literally always here.
That's true. Bro, if that teapot was real, you would own it.
But I might show it off later. Yeah, probably.
It's actually legitly good.
I just wanted to show it since I can't actually receive teapots from anybody.
Oh, you could receive teapot drawings and pictures.
We could print them out and just put them up behind us on the bookshelf. Just like line them.
I love that Watersepe says Jeremy Renner is the best actor in the world.
Jeremy Renner is an actor in the world.
That's not even an opinion I want to argue with. I just want them to think that forever. I think Jeremy Renner is precious. Which is all that matters.
There's a whole YouTube video that Drew Gooden and Danny Gonzalez did over the Jeremy Renner app. Because you can download a Jeremy Renner app.
What does it do?
It's just Instagram, except only Jeremy Renner is on it.
Oh my god. Realistically, when it all comes down to it, go ahead.
I was just there was a period of time where he was going to be like the next big thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Jeremy Renner showed up he was in Avengers, and then he started showing up as like, oh, he's going to be the new action movie guy. But he ended up turning into the action movie understudy instead.
Yeah.
Where it's like, can't get the guy you want, here's Jeremy Renner.
Bad agent.
Yeah, bad agent, probably.
Yeah. No, that really sucks. So when you boil it all down, when you want to know like my favorite actors and actresses, I hate all of them. I don't like the industry. I don't like the money.
I think it's important to
I don't
distinguish
think the
between
people can be good.
their performance and them as people, because we're
Sure.
definitely talking about their performances in this conversation, not who
I
they
have
are.
a very hard time.
That's
actually.
a different conversation.
I don't do that. I don't go like, oh yeah, but he's one of the best movie makers of all time. Ignore the rape accusations.
It's really weird to me though, because you immediately get sucked into every TV show presented to you.
It's
so how
true.
how do you do that, but also can't compartmentalize between an actor and the characters they play?
Well, I think because watching a movie is an experience. Living my real life and acknowledging actors is real life. So, like, in a movie, I can enjoy every part of the movie and ignore the consequences of the actors. But as soon as I step out of it, I can go, nope to these people, and then reject, like, but I get to choose the movies that I watch and enjoy, and people
Sure.
like, so that's easy
But you can
enough.
still admit that they are skilled, even if they also happen to be awful.
Yeah, I can admit that
You
multiple
can have both
people
of those
are
traits at the
skilled,
same time.
but I don't like them. Like, I'm never going to
Sure.
have posters of actors because they're probably awful. There's
That's
just
fair.
a really high chance that people with lots of money and lots of power and have been told how amazing they are their whole life are gonna suck.
I've
So
actually-
I'm never gonna like. I'm
I've
never gonna
noticed
fawn.
a lot of the people that I
Except
like.
for Leonardo DiCaprio.
A lot of the people that I like a lot of actors or performers that I actually respect as people.
I'm gonna watch a Daniel Day-Lewis
Are-
movie because Nothing But
Just to
Noodles
calm this
will
guy down.
literally have an aneurysm
Just-
if I don't.
We don't want you to die.
I'll do it. I'll do
Please-
it. I'll do it. I'll do
Please
it
don't
tonight.
explode.
I'll do it today so we can talk about it tomorrow.
We love you, Noodles.
Where are you saying?
I was saying the actors and performers and like public figures that I actually respect tend to be people who gained that status later in life because they passed the whole section. Most of the time, actors are awful because they spend the formative years of their life living not like humans
True.
and being treated very differently.
True.
So they have different attitudes, and it's just kind of what happens because that's just how brains work. You just sort of adapt to what is presented to you as normal. So you have people like Snape. I'm blanking on names as usual.
Oh, Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman, yeah, right. Like people like him. People like Jon Stewart, whose shirt I also wear when I'm not wearing Stan Lee's shirt.
True.
People who got popular and recognition like after 40 at least. I usually end up respecting more just because they got to live like normal people first and then they got the status.
Yeah.
So they're not usually as terrible as like
People.
that's why child stars are the exact opposite, right? They grew up as actual teenagers within that world.
I'm not sure, like, I 100% agree with it, but I do see your point. I think it's a good point.
I think it's I wouldn't say it's universally applicable. I just think it's more common that the later you get fame, the better person you probably stay because you got to develop
Probably.
being a good person first.
That makes sense. Someone who's asking, someone is asking how I feel about Will Smith. Oh, Paper Cut Ninja. He's fine.
Isn't
What do
he
you
also a
mean?
Scientologist though?
Is he?
I thought he was connected to the Church of Scientology as well.
Right.
Will Smith.
I will stand no one. Like, there is no one that I will be like, I'll
pretty much
I'll
it,
go
yeah.
for it for forever. Like, because one day someone's gonna go, isn't he a Scientologist? Didn't he rape that chick? Didn't he murder somebody in a car accident 10 years ago while he was completely plastered? And
Well,
it's
plus
like,
it's also
all right, well then no. I
another
will
indication
not.
for me is like Will Smith's kids are weird.
Right, what did he do
And
wrong? Like,
Will Smith seems really nice and seems like he's perfected his public persona, but he also just strikes me as one of those guys that, like, behind the scenes probably is still a bit off. How could he not be? He's been
Well,
famous his entire life.
so Fresh Prince Bel-Air was obviously awesome, and I think it was probably like peak him as a good person turning into future Will Smith. But like, I don't know anything about Will Smith. His movies are fine. Him as a person is like, you messed up your kids real bad. I don't know what you did there. So,
So I have two right here. One is Ricky D. Gamer says, "What about Tom Hanks? No one hates Tom Hanks." You're right. The most suspicious thing about Tom Hanks is how unsuspicious he is, and I think I have no complaints as far as I'm aware. Tom Hanks is fine. It still could come out that he's done something horrible. Who knows? But
Right.
he has so far been untouched.
the problem is I can't choose to love any actor because one day someone will say something and that'll just hurt too much.
Right,
so
yeah.
I'd like
been
Tom
burned
Hanks,
too many
Tom Hanks
because
seems safe, but when you ask people,
Bill Cosby was also safe.
right? When you yes, exactly.
He was also untouchable.
If you were going to ask somebody like, who are the top Mr. Roger contenders in Hollywood, Bill Cosby would have made the list. So,
And then there was another comment in here that says it's from where it keeps moving. Lodestar81 says Kyle is thinking of Tom Cruise. He's the Scientology actor. A lot of actors are the Scientology actors.
That's true.
Actually, it's
A lot of them are.
most of Scientology's money comes from famous followers because it's a cult that gets money from people. So
That's
the rich
true.
people are involved. It's usually people in Hollywood. So yes, Tom Cruise is very public about the Scientology thing, so he's definitely known for it. But I'm pretty sure Will Smith also has ties to it. I know a bunch of other actors do. I don't know which ones.
As I'm like reading
But it's
chat,
it's actually very common.
It's getting to a point where people are listing off actors, and other commenters can even comment on like what the actors have done. Like Chris Pratt, he's been tied into some drama around like religion, basically.
Yeah.
Which, bummer. Not really. I don't care. Like when people are like, "Oh, this actor's a bad person," I'm like, yeah. Don't get so attached to people who are going to disappoint you, like actors.
It's very much actually like the you die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain scenario. I think in Hollywood, it's like you call it quits on acting, or you eventually just get sucked in. That's what happens. This has been a long, very full episode. 9. It is exactly 9.
Well, we got to press the button first.
Oh, do we?
Don't we?
I think we're out. I think we're done.
It's over?
Yeah, we did an
How
hour.
did it happen so fast?
Because we
didn't do
picked two very controversial topics.
Oh
apparently.
my gosh, we didn't even do the things though.
No, we didn't. We got Matt and we got a show and tell. We did a couple segments.
True. People are asking if they can send you teapots.
I would love it if you sent me teapots. I think the only problem is I have to go into the post office to get them.
Oh.
So that's the only thing I'm worried about.
It's fine. Just don't send us tea. Don't send us food.
Sure. I guess I could. Yeah, I should probably not do tea. But yeah, I will take teapots if teapots get delivered. I will caution.
We have plenty of teapots.
Be very careful about packing teapots if you send them.
Yeah.
Because Allison ordered one for me for Christmas at one point, and it wasn't packed well enough, and it was just shattered when it got there.
King Stubber says, I'm overly attached to you guys. I think we have a rather healthy parasocial relationship. Don't set us up like that. Just don't. Don't do it. Don't.
See, this is how it starts, though. I start getting free teapots, and I start to expect free teapots, and then I just turn into a raging monster.
We'll never.
One thing leads to another, and then I'm a Scientologist.
I literally read this morning that Gordon Ramsay gives his kids no money and like force them to go to public school.
Really?
And like, yeah, they're not allowed to eat out at fancy restaurants or be like in the public eye or be famous or anything, just because he wants them to be like normal kids.
Interesting.
Yeah. And when I look at him, I'm like, I don't know who any of those kids are, and that's probably a good thing. So
probably it definitely comes across as like a Gordon Ramsay being mean thing, but like it's
No, I think it's probably the right call.
It's probably the right call. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want.
He's not like raising them in boxes. He's just not giving them multi-millions of dollars.
Right. Just not raising them like celebrities.
But Gordon Ramsay probably isn't a good guy. I don't know. He screams at people and calls them idiot sandwiches, so I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Anyway.
We could go on and on about this.
I think it's time.
I think it's time. Thank you guys for joining. We'll be back tomorrow morning.
Oh, wait, there's something happening after this.
Oh, later tonight, though.
Right. It's not after this. Never mind.
But good catch.
Yeah.
We have later tonight. It is the last Thursday of the month, so we are having pizza time, which is a bunch of us Door Monster crew are just going to get on a big Discord call. We're going to stream
it'll be at least me, Kyle, Ricky, and Ian.
Yeah.
And probably Rachel, because
it'll be a big Q&A. You guys can submit questions over Twitter. We're going to put up a Twitter post where you can just kind of submit your questions to us.
Put them in Twitter, put them on our Discord.
Well, you can also be in chat, and we will just be talking to you guys directly and hanging out and eating pizza. And that's what we're doing.
They're demanding the wake-up call. It's too late. We ruined it. We ruined it with stupid conversation. But tune in tonight where we answer questions. I will review my gluten-free pizza. Spoilers. It's fine. The end. Anyways,
and we'll be back tomorrow for another Okay, We're Up. So thanks for joining. Fine, I'm awake.
All right.
See you in the morning.
Wait, what time is the stream tonight?
Bye. It's 7 Central, which is a bit late for some people.
Okay,
that's when it's
bye.
happened. Bye, everybody.